What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. OG here, and I wanted to make sure to give you as much context, as much details as possible regarding this entire UFL situation. Is it a money grab type of game right now where the game has failed? Strikers, the development company, recognizes it, so they're just trying to recoup as much money as they can before they go out of business. They go under, they take UFL offline. I did a video with a ton of red flags that I seen. Nanik responded essentially confirming what I said. Nanik, content creator who had a close relationship with UFL, did a scripted podcast with this man right here, Eugene Nashalov. You're going to see him in the video we're about to watch. And when he did that, I was shocked because me and Nanik don't get along. So there's some of the details from my previous video. There's now 2 videos up regarding this exact situation. The initial one where I speak on all of the red flags I'm seeing to prove that Strikers is just trying to recoup money like a lot of businesses do before they go under. Then the video breaking down Nanik's comments, essentially confirming what I said. And then I described why I believe Nanik, why I don't think he has any reason to lie. He actually has a lot at risk by lying about both Eugene Nashalov, the CEO of UFL, as well as the game itself, and just confirming what I said isn't something a content creator that I've went to battle with would do, right? So, with that being said, this is Eugene Nashalov, and this is UFL's development, pretty much introduction to what they've been doing over 9 years at this point, right? During this time, it was 2 years ago, right? So this is sort of a hype video to show what they've been working on. And I want to go into a few details. One, I want you to put a face to the name, Eugene Nashalov, CEO. He's a person that if you play UFL, you probably recognize because over on X, he does all of the updates himself. You'll see here. He does all of the updates himself, essentially. Now, sometimes they'll put certain things on the website, obviously, and on their socials, but the main, little tidbits, notes on the upcoming updates, things like that, Eugene puts himself on his personal X. And the weird thing about that is no other game does that, right? I'm talking, sometimes you'll have Eugene sharing this tournament thing and stuff like that, the new game changers, promotion stuff, that's understandable. But he would put the little tidbits on the upcoming updates that the socials and main website wouldn't even have. So that right there was a red flag because it seemed like he was just trying to gain notoriety off of the game and take attention away from the game. I mean, there's a ton of players out there that don't even know Eugene Nashalov, so why not put these little bits of information that were very important to the updates and stuff, why not put them on the websites associated with the actual game? So that right there was a red flag. I'll never forget the one comment he said after an update where he made all these promises. The update ended up being terrible, and he ended his comment on here with, "Haters gonna hate." It was insane to see. Wasn't professional at all. I know a lot of people, including myself, definitely saw a big red flag in that. And so I was going to scroll down and see if I could find it, but you get the picture. Haters gonna hate, and the thing is, the update actually under-delivered big time, and the game was in a very bad spot, right? So a lot of this stuff here, if you go to his X, Eugene Nashalov, you can see what I'm talking about. You see a lot of these updates, and you're going to say, why would this not be on UFL's website? Why would this not be on their socials instead of his personal account? Very interesting. So, going back to this update, I want you to pay attention to the details in this video. I want you to pay attention to how much of this actually came true and how much was just mumbo jumbo nonsense. One of the things, whether they talk about it or not, I want to make sure you realize is at the very beginning of this game's release, UFL spoke on being transparent, right? They spoke on the fact that they were going to share everything with the player base because they wanted to be opposite of EA Sports, who doesn't talk to their player base at all. And at the beginning, they actually exemplified this. They were very transparent with the player base. They always were updating us, almost where I thought it was too much, right? And that was a big reason why I bought into this game, because you could see, at least from the start, they wanted us to see, obviously, that they were going to be for the players and they were going to make fixes right on the spot, everything we needed, until all the glitches started coming in after updates where they proved that they weren't very good at developing a football game and making changes to the code and whatnot. And after that, they just ghosted us. I mean, they fell off the map, and it seemed to be just either a front all along to like create this fake backing for their game, for their company, as they were pushing the game, or they truly did have good intentions until they realized, oh crap, we can't fix all this stuff, we can't stomach telling the player base and risk losing them, let's just go dark like EA Sports. Either way, not very good. So let's get into this video.
Hello everyone, and thanks a lot for joining us today to watch this special announcement episode about UFL development and its upcoming release. Earlier this year, we showed you the first ever gameplay footage of UFL that was followed by Johnny and Insider, and a lot of feedback, comments, and words of great support. I want to thank you guys for that. We at Strikers Inc. have always set a very high bar for ourselves, both inside and outside the studio. Our goal now, as it was then, is nothing less than the delivery of a AAA quality, reactive, realistic football game featuring top-of-the-line graphics and gameplay. It's nothing new to say that this is a game of immense technological complexity, one that needs to simulate a full range of football mechanics and techniques with dynamic, realistic animations, world-class players, and so much more. Today, we are announcing that the release date will be moved to 2023. Many of you have highlighted that this is likely, and you're right. The game is now approximately 80% ready, and we need more time to finish the development. You can expect an update on the release date this December. We could have written a press release, but we wanted to deliver these words to you personally. As you know, we believe a fair and open approach to communication is the right way to do it, and we'll stick to that.
You know I got to stop it there for several reasons, right? And already you got to read between the lines here to see the red flags. So first off, free to play, fair to play, as we know that never ever is the case, never was the case, never will be the case based on the direction UFL seems to be going, right? If you start an account, you get these 50, 60, 70 rated squads, especially now. And the game is still new. The player base is still growing. They have nothing for new players, which a huge red flag, as I put in my previous video. Now, let's just say you come in, you're like, man, I do want to give UFL a try. I'm done with FC, or I'm done with eFootball. They say they're free to play. They say they're fair to play. Okay. You start your account, you get your 50, 60, 70 rated squad. You go in, you play a couple weeks, and next thing you know, you match your first full 91 rated opponent because they've played this game from the start, right? And they're already at the max development of their team that they can be, right? They have all their players maxed out, all extra skills added, and they have all these special skins because they put money in. You didn't put any money in, and your team is currently, after starting with 50, 60 rated team, you now have them do about 60 or so rated. Your captain's like 78. Let's just say 85 even, which your captain wouldn't be that high. So you have a team with the highest rated player at 85, okay? No special skins. You have the skins you earned from the game. And then your opponent has a fully maxed out squad at 91 every player, and extra skills that they've added along the way, and special skins that give huge boosts, way better than the skins that you've earned from the game. By the way, you can't earn that many skins, so you're going to be pretty, shit out of luck, considering you would have to put in money to get the very best skins, right? You're not going to get a ton of, say, even legendary skins. I'm not even talking about the special game changers or, we had the leprechaun skins or whatever. So, right there, not fair at all. That is a huge advantage for your opponent skill-wise on the pitch. So now, player-wise on the pitch, every player they have is going to be much better at finishing. They're going to be much faster. They're going to be much better on the ball, passing, everything. Every attribute your opponent is just way better than. So let's just say skill-wise, you are better than your opponent. You're going to have to make up for that difference, right? So let's say typically if you had an even team, you'd win 2-0, okay, just for argument's sake. That difference in the player ratings could easily flip that skill difference and make it a 4-1 game, 4-0 game. Just a huge upswing for the opponent who isn't that good. Now, you're going to face that game after game after game after game. And by the time you finally catch up, you would be so probably in the doghouse from this unfair to play system. You would have been probably long gone before you could even get close to getting your team fully 91 rated, because the direction they went, the system they use, it takes forever to develop, because it's not a no gimmick situation, which is another one of their taglines. They want you to put money in to build your team. It's as simple as that. There's no denying it. They could try, but they would look silly if they did. So right off the bat, that is nonsense. Now, we see all of the efforts that go into building a game. Yes, obviously they have to put a product out and do things like this to get players to even play initially, to get any type of money. It's one of those situations where you got to put money in to make money, right? Spend money to make money. They have a ton of investors as well, which is something you don't know too. So keep that in mind when you're watching this. It's not like they didn't go get 40 million from Ronaldo, and who knows, that's just the famous name that was a plan, by the way. I mean, yes, they got money from him, but also they wanted to use his name. So companies do this all the time. Just because they have a big name, that gets you off of thinking maybe it's a scam, like a lot of these games have been in the past. Gets you off of thinking, man, this game's going to be terrible. So there's plans to all this stuff. Rematch got Ronaldinho in. I mean, the game is nothing like real football. I do see kind of in that game where Ronaldinho and his free-flowing play could come in, but let's make no mistake about it. Whether Rematch ends up being a great game or not, a good development company or not, which all things are pointing to that they are, even though looks can be deceiving, right? It was a marketing ploy to get Ronaldinho, just like UFL was a marketing ploy to get CR7. But just keep that in mind as you watch this, and remember, this game has been in development at this point for years, right? At current time, it's been over 9 years in development. They still have glitches from day one, and even in this video, they pushed back the initial release. I think they pushed it back a few times. So right from the start, they're having some issues. They're kind of showing their lack of experience on the development side. Let's listen up for some more.
Principle. We're working very hard to deliver the proper quality product to you, and we'll do that in due course. Until then, we have lots of great content incoming as we get closer to day one. More episodes of UFL Journey and Insider, further feedback and Q&A rounds, and besides that, you can expect an event where we will get to try the game before the release, so stay tuned. Once again, thank you so much for the ongoing support, feedbacks, and patience. UFL is coming. See you soon.
Now, just to give you guys a little
Saturday
bit
Social
of context, when they did release the... Let's go back to this. When they did release the game
Besides
for
that, you can
early,
expect an
testing or whatever from the players, the beta. Sorry, I couldn't find the words there. And then they were hyping up the game. Then they were getting people to stream it. Then they did their big release party after the beta. They actually hired Harry, who's a famous former FC Pro, very funny guy, to come in and play the game. And basically from that point, from the beta, which was terrible, by the way, when the beta came out, myself and many others were like, yeah, we're not playing this game. Remember, Nick Runs the Foot Market played it. A lot of people, right? There's a lot of hype. It's a new football game, of course. Players are going to try it. And the beta got ridiculously bad reviews to the point where a lot of people weren't going to play. Then they come to early release was like right around the corner, and whether they paid to get players to, talk about it, or they just put in the work. Either way, you have to give them credit there because the game changed enough to get myself and many others back on board, right? You could even tell by just watching it. I didn't get to play that release right before that early release where you spent $15 instead of waiting a week to get the free download. I saw some players that got like a sneak peek into playing, which they probably weren't going to do if they had better reviews on their beta. And that's what got me to at least pay the $15 to try it out at early release. And sure enough, the game was much, much better. So you have to give credit where credit's due. They did put in a lot of work because if they didn't make that change, we might not even be here talking right now because that's how bad the beta was. They wouldn't have had enough players to even last to this point. So, at whatever, 8 years in development, they release UFL, or 8+ years in development, they release UFL. It's a wide open game. You can use any tactics and score in many different ways. They had their problems. It wasn't the most polished game. FC was still by far better. eFootball was still by far better. But the fact that at the time, FC had a totally broken AI ran defense, and eFootball still has a totally broken AI ran defense. And the fact that there wasn't like that one meta formation and tactical setup that you had to use to compete at the top at least, or if you wanted to do the best on the pitch, the fact that you could use any formation, any tactics, and as long as you used them right, you could do well, and it was full manual defense to the point where if a player ran by a defender not controlled by a user, that defender would just watch the attacker go by. As unrealistic as it was, it meant that you had to have skill to do well. That's what got me to create my channel, right? And I had a blast at the beginning. So did a lot of players. So I want to make sure you know it wasn't all bad, but that doesn't mean anything, right? A good scam is going to have that. You're going to need to buy in to the product, right? Otherwise, they're not going to be able to make money to begin with. First, you got to love the game, like I love the game. Then I started putting money in. Then as these skins were released, like these special promos, or even kits and stuff in stadiums, it made me want to support the game. If the game was bad off the bat, like it was in the beta, I wouldn't even have downloaded it, much less put money in, right? So you can't say, oh, well, look at what they did, at the initial release. They did a good job. They clearly, that doesn't mean anything. Of course, you have to put money in to make money. Remember what I said? And that's the case with any business, any scam. At the beginning, it's going to, of course, look good, and there's going to be effort put in. That's part of the fake, right? That's part of getting you bought in. Now, does that mean that's 100% what happened? No, but I'm just saying you can't, a lot of players will do this. I've even seen comments like, you can't say, oh, well, look how well they did here, or look at this or this or this. That is the whole point. So that's not evidence that this isn't a scam. However, it's also not concrete proof, right? Because they were doing a good job here, because they aren't truly free to play. They aren't truly a no gimmicks game. Their taglines are BS. All the money grubbing with the different community events in air quotes, which are really clearly ways for them to just take a bunch of money fast, right? I'll give you an example. They did an event where they tell you go buy a stadium that's essentially $15 worth of LP, 15 American dollars. Once you buy that stadium, you then per win get X amount of LP, but you have to not only win the game with the stadium, you also have to, if you're the away team, hope that your opponent bought that stadium and is doing the community challenge. Otherwise, the game's null and void. Even if you win, if it's not in that stadium, your opponent has some other stadium and they're the home team, no LP. So what it added up to when you broke down how many wins you would need was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, to where most players, even diehard players, wouldn't really make anything off of it. Maybe you would get a little over breaking even at best by winning like hundreds and hundreds of games. What really was looking like was going to happen, which clearly was what Strikers wanted, is that you're going to go buy this stadium for $15 to do the big community challenge that they released, and they would make $15 and end up giving out like $5, $6, $10 at most, right? Because it would take too many games, and with you not even getting LP if you were the away team, or if your opponent didn't have the stadium, right? So Think about that. You put in $15 to get 10. That means Strikers makes $5 off of you. And that goes across every player. So little things like this. And it was guaranteed way more than that for most players who tried this challenge and who were too naive to really look at the details and see what was going on. They made much more. It was a lot of wins. And that was one of the first totally obvious money grabbing schemes that I saw. There was many more after that. I mean, the skins themselves, having expiration dates and then having no plan, for the long haul. Meaning, what are you going to do? You have a fully maxed out player. They keep just adding skills. Eventually, you're not going to need any more skills with that player. And then you're just going to keep releasing skins with expiration dates, and players are going to have to keep buying skins over and over and over just to get what? You get plus 10 in shooting, and then the next skin you get plus 10 in dribbling. Then the next skin you get plus 10 in shooting again. Then the next one you get plus 10 in dribbling and shooting. And then it just keeps going over and over and over, and you just buy these skins for the same types of boosts that they just recycle, right? They don't have a plan for the long haul. For instance, eFootball, they recycle players pretty dang quickly. And I don't like their system at all. I think their system's terrible, but it's still much better than UFL's, because if you get a Hullet, for example, that was single boosted, the next one will be double boosted Hullet. Then you get another Hullet that's a deep lying forward, and the next one is a center back version, which actually has a destroyer playstyle, totally different playstyles, and maybe a boost in defensive stats and lowering of attacking stats. So you're more prone to play that Hullet at center back, right? So they do make some changes. Sometimes they are exactly the same, right? And they're going for the players that didn't spin it first. But the point is, in UFL, they don't have all these different legends. They don't have all these different choices. They have the very best players in the game that you can develop to their max at 91, and then that's it. It's not a plan that works for the long haul, which is another huge red flag. If they're truly making this game for the players to keep playing, they would have something in play. They'd have something announced to show that, hey, you're not just going to get Haaland, Mbappe, Van de Ven, Nico Williams, Dembele, all the best players, get them to 91 and that's it, because everyone's already there. And they know that you can't just keep adding skills, and they can't just keep giving you skins to get the same boost and spend money over and over and over as they recycle them and give them expiration dates. No one's going to keep playing. That's going to get boring so quick. But crickets regarding any type of plan to say something different's happening, right? Just enough time to release enough skins that people will buy in stadiums and kits and everything to get all this money before they close shop, right? And if that's not the case, then someone please give me a even 2-year plan right now of what the game looks like with regards to a fully developed team like most players have, where there's nothing to do. Someone give me an alternative where it makes sense that UFL expects players to keep playing. FC, you don't like their system because you have to restart every year? Okay, but at least it means that you restart, you rebuild, there's new promos, right? And the whole goal is to keep developing your team, to keep making your team better. These new promos come out, a new great player comes out, now you go for that player, and so on and so forth. In eFootball, they keep recycling players, yes, but they give them a few different things, a few different player roles, tweak the stats sometimes, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's an AC Milan card, then it's a Haaland card, which doesn't, for Hullet, I should say, right? Like a club team card and then a national team card, whatever the differences are, right? Or sometimes they're not, they're just going for the players who didn't spin. But either way, the system works because you have this big group of players that you can then put in reserves, and you can use all these different players as you might be changing your tactics as the meta changes, right? As they add more and more boosters. Even though their system is terrible, I want to repeat that, I don't like their system, at least you can see there's a plan there. There's something there that the players can keep working towards, right? That breaks the monotony. There's nothing like that at UFL, and it's at a crucial time where a new game would be less than a year out for the public to play. A typical new game would be trying to keep getting players, trying to keep the hype going, right? Growing that player base. And it seems that Strikers has settled for just, this is who we have. These are the people we suckered into staying and spending money. So let's milk them for everything they got and then say sayonara. Listen, I hope this isn't the case for the player base's sake. It's better when you have more football games, and the fact that even though this game is terrible, a lot of players still enjoy it, clearly, right? They have low numbers that keep getting lower, but nonetheless, there are still players that enjoy it, and it doesn't change the fact that if the game could become a good game, it just means a better overall experience for all football gamers on any game, because it pushes the development companies to produce the best content so they don't lose players, right? Competition breeds success. So I don't want any of this to be true, but I see all the red flags. Facts are facts. Then you have someone like Nanik who would never co-sign me on anything unless it's true because, like I said, we don't see eye to eye. The same goes for him. I don't like how his content is. I don't like how the way he goes about creating content, the lack of passion, the lack of actually playing the football games and approaching it from a player's perspective. But if he speaks facts on something, I'm going to say, look, Nanik is correct on this. So the fact that he did this and then speaks on exposing everything once the game goes under, the only thing I disagree with is the fact that there's a lot of players spending money and wasting their time on this game, and Nanik could help prevent that. Nanik could help these players if he does expose everything now. On the flip side, I could see where maybe if he does it, he fears that before they go under, he releases everything and they could get him for slander or something. You know, they're a big corporation. They're going to have lawyers or the ability to get lawyers that could possibly go after Nanik. So on that side of it, if he's thinking from that, okay, I get it. With that being said, though, there is always going to be more of these types of comments that you see underneath. The one says, you only get mad when you lose, when I'm not even playing the game here. And then the other one saying, no matter what you say, I'm not giving my money to EA. No one's talking about EA or FC. No one's talking about me playing the game or glitches or all the problems that, by the way, are there. Win or lose, when I speak on facts about the game, all you have to do is look at, is he correct or is he not? Can you not experience the glitches yourself and see them for yourself, right? So these types of comments blow my mind, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because UFL is not only the game where I've gotten the highest rank, the most success, number 10 in the world. Never reached that in FC, never reached that in eFootball. That is a huge accomplishment, and I also have my most views. The most clicks for me, the best case scenario for me would be covering this game that I'm essentially blowing up, especially if it ends up being true that it was all a big scam. I mean, nothing I'm doing helps me as a content creator, unless you want to say the couple clicks and views extra that I get for, or the a lot of clicks and views even that I get from these videos. However, I want you to know the information. So in the long run, I can make video after video after video promoting UFL, hiding all behind all of the nonsense that's going on, whether it's the trash gameplay right now or this, which is a way bigger situation. But it doesn't help me in the long run. So these type of comments, like I said, they blow my mind, and if this is where you're at, I can't help you. For the rest of you, if you're able to look at the facts, look at what I'm showing you and say, okay, this is true or this isn't true. Look at what Nanik has said and say, okay, I believe him or I don't, and then make your own decision. If you want to keep spending money and you don't believe it, so be it. If you want to keep playing the game and you don't believe it or you don't care if it goes under maybe, then so be it. But at least I had the information and I put it out there, because I know if I was playing this game and people had this type of information and didn't share it, I'd be pissed. I want to know so I can make my own decision, and that's what I shared this for. So, with that being said, please smash the like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and join my Discord. The link is in the YouTube bio, which you can find right here. And as always, keep grinding, keep having fun. I will see you on the next one. Peace out.